Hey everyone, welcome to the NintendoFuse Podcast. This is episode 234, recorded live on August 3rd, 2021. That's not kind of weird that recorded live. Isn't everything recorded live in some way? That total
We're
derailment and
broadcast
tangent here
live.
at the beginning, broadcasted live. Uh, just thinking back to our old days when we used TalkShoe, it said recorded live. I'm like, everything's recorded live. Anyway, today we are not here to run tangents on what is recorded live or what is not. Today we're going to talk Nintendo as always. Today we got several things that we're going to be discussing. We got a couple of games we're going to be reviewing. We're going to be talking about the East Asia Soft event that just happened today. We're going to be talking about the recent Activision Blizzard debacle, I guess is the best word for that. All the craziness that's going around all that, and kind of share our thoughts around that. Lots of other headlines, but before we get into all that, it's time for introductions. My name is Steve, and I, of course, am joined by Barry and Greg as usual. Barry, how's it going, man?
Yeah, it's going well. Been very busy, but overall, good.
Good. And Greg, how are you doing?
Also good. Things just been super busy around, and summer's coming up, winding down. So, yep.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy how busy people are again. Like this time last year, you'd say, "How are you doing?" And busy was not one of the words that we used last year at this time, but
Yeah.
seems to be one of
I
those
haven't left
things
the
that a lot
house
of
in
people.
2 months.
Right. Well, I forgot what day it was again. But not so much anymore. We're kind of out and about and trying to do life like normal, even though, pandemic is still technically happening. But people are trying to get back to normal life and play some video games, even though I think a lot of people played video games during the pandemic. That was one of the pastimes that got a lot of people through 2020 for sure. But we're going to discuss all of the games, all the news, and everything tonight. We are not alone, though. We also have a live chat room that is going during our live recording of tonight, and so anytime that we talk about anything, feel free to throw your thoughts in the live chat as you're joining us. If you're watching after the fact, we'd still love to hear your thoughts. So please use the comment section here on YouTube if you're watching, or if you are listening after the fact on your favorite podcast app of choice. Just shoot us a message on social media. You can follow us at NintendoFuse on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And we also have a Discord. We'd love for you to join our Discord. That's another place where you can share your thoughts on what we discuss. The link is on the screen here on YouTube, but it's also, all those links are going to be in the show notes for the podcast show notes as well. And we'd love to connect with you between shows and everything. If you are brand new, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the NintendoFuse Podcast. We would encourage you to hit that like button, hit that share button, hit the bell on YouTube, and share this with others, Nintendo fans that are out there. We just be very grateful for that. And if you have the ability to leave a review, maybe on your podcast app, we so appreciate the positive reviews as well. So thank you so much for checking us out and for being around here. We've got, like I said, the chat room's going. If you've never joined us for a live chat, we're pretty much on a schedule of every other Tuesday. There's going to be some weeks here and there that we're going to have to shift the schedule around over the next few months. But generally speaking, every other Tuesday, we'd love to join join us when we record these, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time and 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time. Jakester, Hawadi, Dave. I feel like there was someone else I'm missing. It's actually Barry, just responding to them. I was going to say hi to Barry again. But all those guys are joining us in this chat. They're talking. There's several others that haven't said hi yet. If you're in there, be sure to say hi. And we're going to get ready to talk about the games we've been playing. So feel free to go ahead and throw those games that you've been playing in the chat as well. Basement Dweller just joined in, said hello to everybody. And yeah, like always, we'll go through the chat as much as we can throughout the podcast. So thanks for doing that. Barry, you want to remind everybody, we got a little event coming up soon that people should know about in your neck of the woods. Tell us a little bit about that and remind people of the amazing discount code that they got as well.
Absolutely. So this weekend, the 7th and 8th of August, is Play NYC in Manhattan. Good friends of ours run the show. Been there, since the show started. A great video game conference to go to, meet developers, check out games, that are in development and some that are about to be released. If you're interested in going, you can go to play-nyc.com where you could purchase your ticket. And if you do, use the code FUSE40 and you'll get 40% off of your entire purchase. So if you want the 1-day pass or you want the Dev Pro 2-day pass, it doesn't matter. You'll get 40% off. So thank you very much to Playcrafting for providing us that code and for putting on an amazing show.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And be sure to check out Barry's interview with Dan Butchko of Playcrafting and Play NYC. It's on our YouTube channel. If you haven't checked that out yet, you can actually go back and see 4 years? Is it 4 years of interviews with Dan?
Fifth time. Yeah.
Fifth time. Wow. So you can see, over the years, see Barry grow up and see Dan grow up.
And, you were actually there with the first one, actually.
I
so
was.
You could see young Steve, too.
I was. Young whippersnapper Steve. We probably didn't look a whole lot different. We're kind of that age where we don't really change from year to year anymore. But thanks so much to Playcrafting again. As we said, thank you for giving us those codes and for being able to help our fans out there and our listeners and everything to be able to go to the event for 40% off. That's incredible. So let's get into what we've been playing over the last couple weeks. Barry, do you want to go first?
Sure. So the past couple weeks, I've played several different games, actually. First off, still doing Animal Crossing, barely. I think I logged in once or twice. Barely doing that. More than you. For the playcast, we did Redout, which is a futuristic racing game. Very fun. Very unique controls for turning. You can't just turn like you normally could. You actually have to use the right analog stick as well as the left analog stick to turn. Takes a little getting used to, but it works. Really fun, especially if you have been hurting for F-Zero. I do recommend checking this out. It plays really well on the Switch. Play a little Mina and Michi, which we will be talking about in a little bit. For the playcast, I also did Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion. Great sounding title, great game. This is a very short, maybe 2.5 hours, top-down Zelda-style fun game. A little on the easy side. This is actually getting a physical too. But if that sounds interesting to you and you like Zelda, I do recommend it. It's a lot of fun. Also for the playcast coming up this week, playing Wave Break, which is, how do I put this? It's Tony Hawk Pro Skater, except you're on a jet ski and you also have a gun. That is about the best way I can do it. There's the typical objectives. You have 2 minutes to do what you can in a level. You have to instead of like collecting skate, you collect break. And
they should have called that game Turnip Boy Evades Tax Evasion.
Maybe they should have. But yeah. And then the Monster Hunter Stories 2, which I started last time we were talking. I finished the main story. I did not do any of the post-game content. There's a lot of it that opens up, but just really wanted to try to get through the story. I very much enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the game. I did not expect to enjoy the game. I tried the demo, fell in love with the demo. This is better. This is a better Pokemon than Pokemon Sword and Shield. And I did enjoy Pokemon Sword and Shield. So take that for what you will. If you enjoy Pokemon, I definitely recommend giving this a shot. And I did not play the first series or the first Stories 1, so you do not need to play it to enjoy this. And the last game on the Switch I played was the Pokemon Unite, which again we're going to be talking about in a bit. On the PS5, I went back to Scarlet Nexus, a game that I had started, I think, 2 podcasts ago. Finally finished it today, at least the first playthrough, but I will probably not be going through a second playthrough. But it is a fun JRPG, action RPG, set in a really unique world where the mechanics for the battle are really cool because you have a party of 3, but you only play as your main character. but you can borrow the powers of up to 8 squad members at a time, and each power has like a certain amount of a gauge, and then it replenishes. And some of the powers are, you have fire or electricity. You can stop time for everybody but you, or you can just make yourself move very fast. You could duplicate yourself up to 3 times, so every attack does multiple damage. You can, you have telekinesis, so you can, throw objects and cars and buses at enemies and stuff. It's awesome. If you like action RPGs, I definitely recommend giving this a shot. And for the first time, I think in the history of this podcast, at least since the original Xbox One launched, Xbox Series X, I actually have a game on the
Wow.
Xbox that I played, which is Flight Simulator, because that came out this week. And a lot of fun. I didn't know what to expect. I got to fly over my house, fly around my area, fly around Manhattan. Very cool. I plan to go back to it and like fly around Egypt and stuff like that, and see things that I'm not familiar with. But naturally, you want to go where you're familiar. One thing that's
Did they
cool
get
is
the
I thought you
design
had
of your house right?
it's kind of like generic,
Yeah.
like down to those details. Although there is world upgrade packs which are free. At least they're free right now. So I did download those, but I haven't played since downloading them. So I don't know if that made everything better or not.
Mhm.
But I thought you had to start at airports, and if you do start at airport, you have to take off. But you can just pick anywhere, and it just starts you in the air, which is really cool. Tons of different planes you can fly as, and then there's DLC. There's a ton of different planes and airport packs that are quite expensive, anywhere from 10 to 20, $30. And I think if you bought all the DLC, you're looking at like $1,000. I'm like, what? Uh, I figured this game would be, all on cart. No, it's not. There's DLC, but there is some free DLC. I think there's an airplane that's free, and there's a navigator. You could download a specific navigator. It's kind of weird, but I do recommend it. Just it's one of those games that if you really like Flight, you can play it virtually forever. But if you don't, and you're just like, I don't know if I'll get a lot out of it. If you ever have family visiting, it is like a perfect family game, because where do you want to go in the world? Let's go visit, and like everybody can take like a collective, vacation kind of deal, like a sightseeing tour. And there's like a bunch of little pre ones set up that will take you like right to pyramids of Egypt and like Roman Coliseum and Manhattan and San Francisco and stuff like that. So that's really cool. I like that little tours. Other than that, on the PC, still playing Final Fantasy 14, and on the mobile end, still chugging along on Dragalia Lost and Mario Kart Tour, finishing up Tour again tonight.
Nice. Let's go into the chat real quick, and it looks like some people have been playing some games. We're going to throw them on the screen tonight because that's fun. Jakester says that he's been playing a lot of Dragon Quest XI, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and heading to end both of those pretty soon, which is pretty exciting. Basement Dweller said that he just beat Skyward Sword HD. Pacing felt a lot better than Wii because of the lack of fee. Let's say lack of fee, just it's like less than fee. Jared says he's been playing Skyward Sword, Ace Attorney, and Pokemon Unite, along with Mario Run, Kart, and Pokemon Go. And looks like Dave has been just finished Skyward Sword and playing through Adea the Sky Soldier. Hawada says that playing Arena of Valor, Monster Hunter Rise, and now playing Pokemon Unite. And it looks like that's kind of what most people have been playing. And then we got a bunch of just other comments. Looks like people are talking about Flight Simulator with you and their experience with Pokemon Unite. Just played a little bit and stuff. So we'll get into a lot more of Pokemon Unite talk in just a little bit. Greg, what have you been playing recently?
Well, despite last podcast not having any Animal Crossing, this time around I did log in, managed again. So I was primarily focused on that first fireworks show just to get all the new items there. And that's like my absolute daughter's favorite event in Animal Crossing. She was saying, "Oh, remember last year when they had all the fireworks shows?" She just loved making custom things, like having different like Pokemon emotes show up as like the fireworks in the sky. So that was a lot of fun playing that, enjoying that with her. So thankfully, I did get the other item, all those new items that they added for that, along with that. But other than that, that was pretty much all I did outside cleaning up some like 200 some weeds and stuff, killing
Nice.
cockroaches and whatnot. I also did play up a little more Paper Mario and the Origami King. I know last time I said I beat the game, but my daughter was very focused on trying to rescue all the toads. So like I went back on her profile to get that to 100% for the toads and the filling in all the all those whole bottomless hole things and the collectible treasures that you get from different treasure chests. I didn't go for the super end game of all those trophies because that's absolutely ridiculous, and she didn't really care about those. So definitely took a pass on that. And that's super hard and annoying stuff. A new entry this week was Bravely Default 2. I finally got a chance to start that up after it being out for almost half a year now. I really love the one on 3DS, or both of them on 3DS actually. This one's an interesting change of pace, just having completely different characters, but so far the story is very interesting, and the difficulty seems to be somewhat on par with the first ones, at least so far. I'm up to getting the Bard Asterisk, and I was having some trouble beating him. I'm already on my third attempt through after getting 2 game overs on him, so hopefully this time he'll go down after seeing how he keeps enhancing all the enemies that he brings with him. I was also going pretty good into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, so despite not having the Fighter's Pass, I've been really trying to hammer away at those challenges. Like, I don't know why I got the sudden completionist attitude for it, but I've been knocking out as many of those challenges as I can. So right now I'm just pummeling through some of the online ones, despite being an awful online player. I'm getting killed most of the time, but it's still kind of fun at times, especially when I do manage to pull out some epic wins from here and there. And I got still going after some of the spirits as well. I mean, I don't nearly have as many as Barry, and I think it was Dave that mentioned that in our Discord, saying they got all of them, but I've just broke that 777th one for that spirit challenge. So that was pretty nice to see there. And then finally, still playing Fire Emblem Heroes, so still trying to compete and everything there. The meta's been changing a ton with a lot of the different skills and characters they add to the game, and I'm having a lot of trouble adjusting to it. So sometimes it's frustrating, and I don't get the high ranks as I've been normally getting prior. But Choose Your Legends 5 is just around the corner, and hopefully ready to summon some new characters.
Nice. I have been playing just a couple games. As we said earlier, life's been more busy, and so I really haven't spent a lot of time with any of my game consoles recently, and found out that funny enough, I'll just say the games Rocket League and Pokemon Unite, which we'll talk about Pokemon Unite in just a bit. Have you guys ever had an experience with your Switch sound being delayed all of a sudden through your TV? I don't know if it happens when you don't touch it for a while or what, but yeah, that happened when I fired up Pokemon Unite this last week, and it was delayed quite a bit, and it took me forever to finally figure out. I think it has something to do with the signal being sent from the Switch. It wasn't happening in handheld mode, but it was only when it was docked. And so I thought it was because I was going through a capture card or an HDMI splitter or something like that. But nope, it actually had to do with some of my TV settings. I had to go back in and like reset the sound settings, and it fixed itself. But I found it actually. iMore had an article about how to fix it, and so it's common enough that someone wrote an article about how to fix it. But that was a fun experience, and I was thinking, oh no, my Switch is like either hates me or is broken, maybe both, because I haven't touched it in a while, and it's lashing back out. But I finally got it fixed and got to play some Pokemon.
I haven't had that issue, but one of my docks, like the sound will cut out for a second or two periodically, and that's annoying. But never had a delay.
Yeah, it was weird because It was in the menu. It was like everything. It wasn't like a specific thing. It was just all the time.
Yeah, I mean, when I was playing online for Smash, I mean, it wasn't really a sound related issue, but there was no lag at all at this particular match, and then it said I got disconnected from a network problem, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? So that seemed kind of weird to me.
That's two
And then I
weird
was like,
things. No lag in Smash Online and that.
well, it was just that match that I definitely had plenty of matches where it was like the lag. You were just like looked like you were paused for like at least 2 minutes straight. Like it wasn't even moving. I'm like, this is gonna be fun once this picks back up.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, it looks like the chat room says they never had that either. So, well, it's happened to some people out there, and I'm glad it happened to someone before me so they could write the article and tell me how to fix it. And it's really an easy fix. That if ever happens to you, just go into your sound settings of your TV and basically reset them, essentially, and it resyncs, and everything's fine. So. Well, let's head into the first of our two game chats of tonight. We're going to take a look at a couple different games. And the first one up is Barry and Greg had a chance to look at one game, and then we'll change pace a little bit, and all three of us will talk about a different game. So I'm going to pass it on to you two to talk about the first game up.
Yeah, so the first game that we're going to be talking about is a game called Mina and Michi. This came out on the Switch as well as other platforms, and it came out recently, June 30th. Was developed by Light Up and Radalaka Games, and again published by East Asia Soft. So first off, thank you East Asia Soft for providing us codes. And this is a top-down, kind of like an adventure puzzle game where you control two characters at the same time, and you go through different environments, different seasons as you collect keys, open up chests, find money in grass, defeat enemies, and solve a lot of different puzzles. Greg, what did you think of this game?
I really, really enjoyed my time with it. So just a little head note, like I did get the 104%, and that was getting every single treasure and solving every single puzzle and beating all the bosses, along with even visiting the special room at the very end of the game. So I definitely enjoyed my time with it. It was very reminiscent of almost like, I guess, what Triforce Heroes tried to be, if you could actually control like all of them at the exact same time. I know Triforce Heroes, you could switch between them, but in this case, you actually got to use one control stick to control Minnie and the other one to control Michi. So that was a very awesome way to play through like a top-down like Zelda game, just being able to have two characters both being able to fight bosses and solve puzzles like simultaneously, or you could just control one if that you felt more comfortable doing that way. So I had definitely a lot of fun playing through this game.
Yeah, it's very interesting and kind of jarring, just because you're controlling two, and it takes a little while just to get accustomed to that, because certain buttons, like there'll be a gate, and you need to put one character on a switch to unlock the gate, go through and find another button with that other character so that you can move the other character over. I'm not usually a fan of games like this, only because it's hard for me to always have to deal with a second character, because I'm the kind of person who I will play with the one character, and then when I can't move anymore, I'm like, oh, hold on, let me move the other character to a safe spot. It wasn't that bad for this game, because you don't need to bring both characters to like advance a screen, which is cool. You just had to do the one. A lot of different puzzles. If you mess up a puzzle, you can leave and come back. Most of them are block puzzles, pushing a
Yep.
puzzle to a switch. I will say that they can be kind of annoying in the sense that you can't really correct yourself. So if you pushing two blocks and they're just a little too close together and you can't get between them to push them like left or right, for example, you have to reset the whole puzzle, because there's no real tell-all. You can't pull. At least I didn't figure out any way to pull.
No, there's no way to pull them. I think that's part of the strategy element, is to not having to do it, because otherwise a lot of those puzzles will be a lot simpler. Because it's like, oh, I
Yeah.
broke it against the wall, but oh well, he can't get it away from the wall because he can't pull it. So it's like you have to kind of figure out how not to push certain ones against the wall and which ones to do first before others and everything. But I definitely did note I had that's like a minor gripe to me that like lining up was just kind of iffy, because even if your character was like in the way, like it couldn't like push it all the way against the wall, and then you kind of like adjust it slightly up or down, and just that small difference can mean like fitting through the small gaps to get around and in between some of the different passageways.
Yeah, and those are again minor gripes.
Yep.
It was kind of interesting to find how to get the keys. Although I found it weird, like some of the keys was like you need to spend 100 coins to get a key, and then you open up a chest and you get like less than 100 coins, or at least it felt like less than 100 coins. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I'm used to playing Zelda, so every time I saw the grass, I was always chopping it and walking through it, so I didn't really have a lot of trouble accumulating the currency. I always had like 300 or 400 every time I saw one of those 100 coin gates, and I was like, okay, well, that's not much of a challenge there. So
Yeah, there's a little challenge in the beginning before you get your weapon because you can't kill enemies. But once you do that, I'd say one of the only other things I would like to see is some kind of helper, like in where to go, because it doesn't tell you. So if you're confused, hey, where did I go? Like maybe you stopped the game for a little bit and came back to it. Where was I going again? That would be kind of cool. Uh, the other thing I noticed is some like paths are like a giant circle. So let's say you start north and you're going around, northwest to west to southwest. Um, you get to a room and suddenly like, oh, here's a big block puzzle. You do the block puzzle and it just unlocks the door that you just came from, and it's kind of like, oh, this was for if I went the other way. It would have been really cool to know that, so I didn't waste my time on this block puzzle just to unlock the way I came. But again, those are minor little things. I do enjoy it. I did enjoy it. And how long did it take you to do your 104%?
it was just right around 3 hours, like just about on the money. I mean, I think there was like a few seconds or maybe a minute or two over, but it was essentially 3 hours exact.
Yeah, that's why you're getting a good length game. You do have hearts. You can find heart containers to, give your hearts back. If you die, you just kind of restart. So it's not like I don't think there's any. Oh, it depends on the difficulty. I was on the easiest difficulty, so there was infinite continues, but there is a hardcore difficulty where it's one life. So you really have some challenge if you want it there, and what would you say to finish up? Would you recommend this game? I don't even remember the cost of this game.
It was
I think it's
$5. Steve had it on the early,
$5.
in the beginning on. I was definitely looking for that when he was displaying it. I would definitely recommend it. There's definitely a lot of playthrough if you're even looking to like speed run. It like tracks those kind of information as well. So if you want to try to get a better run, you're always welcome to go back through. I'm not usually the speed running type, but I still felt like I definitely got $5 worth of entertainment out of the 3 hours getting everything. Um, Outside those few things that you said, like with the puzzles not always aligning to the direction of the map screen you want to go, like just having a map would have been a very great feature to have, just to kind of see which rooms you didn't complete and everything like that. The very final room, I had to do like a full circle around that last area just to find where I was supposed to go, and it actually turned out it was in that first room. I just had to go up because it was like the one room that I couldn't find. So, um, yeah, that was outside those very small things. I still definitely think it's worth it.
Yeah, a map would have absolutely helped for sure. Even I mentioned a pointer idea or a hint idea, but yeah, a map would have rectified that as well. I also recommend it for $5. I think you're getting a good chunk of game, especially if you like puzzle adventure style games and Zelda games. Definitely think this is one you should check out, especially if it goes on sale. But even at $5, I think you are absolutely getting a value. And again, thank you so much for East Asia Soft for providing us both codes so that we can talk about the game today.
Yep, thank you very much, East Asia Soft.
Cool. That sounds pretty cool. I like the fact that there's games out there that are short like that, but you still have good experience. Like
Yeah,
it's short, but it's not like too short, but it feels like you said that there's enough content there that didn't feel like you were lacking. But yeah, it kind of seems cool, like in that sweet spot there.
yep, definitely plenty to do and lots of exploring around, especially if you're trying to jump between rooms and everything. So,
Nice, nice. Well, we're going to be switching gears just a little bit and talk about another game that all of us had an opportunity to play. So give me just a second. I'm going to get some couple things ready here, and then we'll take it away with our next game. And yeah, so we got a chance to talk about or play Pokemon Unite. It came out just about a week or so ago, and yeah, we heard about this game like a couple months ago. Is that right? Am I remembering correctly?
Yeah, it was
This
a
one,
long time ago,
a
actually.
long time ago. Okay,
I feel like it was either early 2021 or late 2020.
okay. Has it
It
been
might
been
have been
that
early
long?
20. Yeah,
Wow.
I don't, it had its own little presentation,
That's true.
like
It
its own
did.
Pokemon
Yeah.
Presents.
So so yeah, if you're unfamiliar with Pokemon Unite at all, it's a free to play multiplayer online battle arena kind of game. If you're familiar with other games like League of Legends, it's kind of similar to that. Not exactly the same, of course, but similar enough where you basically control a Pokemon on a team, and your goal is to defeat other Pokemon on the other team, but also wild Pokemon that are out there, and you get points, and you go score those points on in designated areas. So that's the basic idea of the game. And Jakester in the chat is telling us that it was June 24th of 2020 when we found out about this game.
Yeah,
So
so over a year ago.
over a year ago. So time flew. You know, it's pandemic time. So, but yeah, there was an update on August 2nd as well. Already getting updates. But yeah, let's just talk about our time with the game. I'd love to hear what you guys your experience with the game so far, what it's been like, and kind of give a little bit of a review in our game chat tonight. Barry, let's go to you first. What have you thought about your experience with Pokemon Unite so far?
So I'm not a huge MOBA person. I didn't do League of Legends or any of that, but I did do Arena of Valor when that came out on the Switch, and that was my first experience with this. And I actually really enjoyed Arena of Valor. I actually played it for a couple weeks every day, just a little bit. So when this came out, I'm like, and I started playing. I'm like, oh, okay, this is right in the same ballpark. So I knew what to expect, and I played it since it launched every day, doing not like huge amounts, just like the daily stuff, doing the daily missions every day, and having a lot of fun with it for the most part. I say for the most part because there are a few little nitpicks that I have, and one of them could be alleviated with some proper team communication. Obviously, if you go in with a group of four other people, you have a headset, maybe you're in Discord. I could see it being a ton of fun. But when you're with randoms, even with ranked, you don't have that communication, and the in-game communication is minimal, only preset messages. And
And
I
very
think
few preset messages.
very few. And I think a lot of it could be, uh, if you're not with the right people, you don't gel well. And you have to play smart. This is a team game, so you have somebody. I'm gonna be by myself, and they're not helping. And if you're like, oh, you know what, you have 50 points to score, and the somebody else has 3 points to score, and there's 2 points left on the particular goal, and the person with 3 points goes, boom, I'm done, and walks away. And it's like, wait a minute, as a team, let me score my 50 points because that's more valuable for us to win. And I've had that happen a couple times, and I'm just like, why? Like, we're supposed to be a team. You can see how many I have. You should be letting me score, or because I always do the same courtesy to other people who have more, just because it's a team effort. It's a whole score. That's how you win. The other nitpick I have, and maybe this is something I'm missing. I haven't looked it up. I can't figure it out. When you start the game, you get to pick a Pokemon. That Pokemon is always what I start at when going into a room, but that's not my main Pokemon, even though my favorite on my home screen is my main Pokemon. And it almost becomes more of a, like, the harder challenge is actually being able to pick my Pokemon to start with, as opposed to actually playing the match, because only one person on a team could be that Pokemon. So you have to constantly click over, like, can I get it? Can I get it? And maybe it's something I'm missing, but despite what's listed as my favorite Pokemon is, it's not the one that starts when I get into the lobby. And it's frustrating to, like, lose out to somebody else. And it's like, oh, now I got to play as a second or my third Pokemon because I do have a couple I play as, but I'm never enjoying it as much as my main Pokemon. So that is something that's kind of irks. I don't know if there's the fix to that, and I'm just missing something. But every time I try to look it up, it's like, oh, here's which Pokemon you should pick as your starter. I'm like, I don't want that.
Right.
That's not what I'm
That
trying to look for.
that is kind of weird because like it's not like a game that you can only have one of. Like you can have multiple Pikachu. There's thousands, millions of whatever Pikachu that technically exist in this world. Why can you only have one per game?
Because they want to try to keep it balanced.
Sure,
I
but
mean, I think a team of like 5 defenders, like 5 slow kings or something like that, or 5 Snorlaxes would be a terrible to go against because they're really hard to take down and really annoying with their walls. So I do think it's for game balance is why they're doing it. That's
makes
saying
sense.
you can still have all attackers and you can still have all defenders. And they do tell you when you build a team, like, oh, for better team synergy, put an all-rounder, oh, put a melee, whatever. So they do try to help you, but there's nothing stopping you from doing 5 attackers. That again goes with team synergy.
I guess it makes sense. Yeah. Greg, how's your experience with Pokemon Unite been so far?
Non-existent. Just been downloaded on my Switch.
Nice.
I actually didn't fire it up. I was meaning to, but I didn't. I did watch like a video by Beat 'em Ups and how he was kind of complaining it was like pay to win, and that kind of turns me away from it. I mean, I haven't really played any MOBAs, but they also don't sound like the kind of game for me because I really slashed down Fortnite on the year that came out on Switch. So you'll remember Hassan probably hates me for that, but
They're 2 totally different games, though.
Very, very different.
understand. But yeah, from what I know of the game, it definitely doesn't seem right that there's only so many Pokemon, and then you always have to have like one of each on the team, and then you're trying to buy all these like skills and stuff just to make them even
Oh no, you don't buy
better.
skills. The way it works is as everyone starts at level 1. So as you're killing wild Pokemon and you're gaining experience in killing other players, when you hit certain levels, your skills evolve and you can choose one of 2 combinations of skills to upgrade your skills to. You're not actually purchasing that. It's like an upgrade trait.
Yeah, that's how he kind of outlined it. So you get these upgrade traits, and then he said it would take over a year to get them to level 30, or you can put down a credit card and pay $100, and then you can get it to level 30 in seconds. So
That's the items you can equip.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
not the skills.
Which does help for sure.
Oh
but
yes,
it's
for
not
sure.
but it's not the same as like leveling up. Yeah, you're not paying to level
That
up.
that is something though. The items, if you pay to level up, you will have a distinct advantage in the beginning. For sure. You will kill more, you will have that advantage, and you will get early victories. That being said, everyone else will slowly catch up to you, and if you're relying on those items instead of your skill, you will lose.
Well, yeah, I mean that's like the same with pretty much any these kind of like free to play type games. There's always the people that can drop hundreds of dollars and be really and pay for the good things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be an ace at the game. I mean, I see that in Fire Emblem Heroes where people buy these characters and will have a plus 10 of the strongest character at the time, and then they can't win like playing other people's maps. So just because you have the paid resources doesn't necessarily mean that you're a god at the game. So I imagine that would apply in this situation as well, but it's kind of disheartening to see that it would take whatever a year just to level up your items or whatever to be the maximum level. It sounds like it's not distributed very evenly.
Yeah. My guess is though, like I've not really gotten into ranked as much, but you're matched up against players that are similar rank as you, so
Yes.
it doesn't really matter in the long run because you're always going to be playing people that are similar to you. So even if you do pay a lot of money or you don't pay a lot of money, you're still going to be playing people that are in a similar place as you. So like for me, like that doesn't bother me, I guess, like because I'm always going to be playing against people that are in a similar place. The things that like bugged me, I guess, about the game because I'm enjoying it so far. I like it. They're little things that are like in the menu system. Like there are so many places to claim things. Like you win it in the main menu, and then there's like daily challenges, and there's other challenges, and it's all behind a different menu. So you have to go, like, if you earn something, you have to figure out which menu it's in, and you have to go and like pick it. Like it's kind of annoying, just to like claim everything. And it probably doesn't happen like all the time, like as you go, and you'll probably have less things that you're claiming and everything. But in the beginning, there was like 5 different places that I had to check to claim all my prizes or whatever, and that was kind of annoying. I'm like, okay, just put this all in the same thing, or highlight where I need to go, and just call it a day.
Well, they do highlight it. There's a little red dot. However, I did notice there's one that doesn't show on the main screen, which is if you're on the main screen, you push L to bring up your profile. If you're like doing well, like in terms of not quitting matches and stuff, and you have a good reputation points, you get 20 gold a day, and that will highlight, but only after you push L. So if you haven't been pushing L, you've been missing 20 gold a day as a bonus.
Yeah. But overall, it's actually really fun. It's easier to pick up than League of Legends. Like League of Legends was one of those games I tried to pick up one time, and I realized that I was so far behind the general player base in terms of my skill and what I had to learn about the game, and there was different strategies and all these different things that was like too far beyond what I was willing to put in the time and effort to catch up to where I needed to be, at least where I felt I needed to be. But so this is kind of an easier game to pick up and play, I feel like, in comparison to at least League of Legends. And so yeah, if you've been willing to like, are wanting to get into a game like that for a while, Pokemon Unite might be your entry into it, because it's an easier barrier of entry for that, for sure. Yeah, there's still some things that I'm learning, and like you said, Barry, like your team makes a huge difference. The other day I was playing, I did really well in my first match. I got VIP or whatever, the very first MVP. The very first game I played, and I had a couple other games. It was great. And then all of a sudden I got put with a bunch of teammates that I guess didn't play or something, because we got smashed like awfully. I was like, what happened? Did you guys just quit or what? And we got horribly beaten. And then I've had some other games where it seems like the other team just quit out of the blue, or I don't know. So, it's a 5-on-5 kind of game, so you never know who you're going to actually get teamed up with. Haven't had a chance to play with friends or anything like that, so I don't know what that kind of experience is like yet. But like you said, Barry, I think this could be a game that if you're playing with like 4 other friends and you're all on TeamSpeak or something, and able to like actually chat with everybody and develop a strategy together, that could be really, really fun.
There is also 3v3 and 4v4 in the quick matches, which are different arenas. So if you haven't, you have to be, I think, level 9 to unlock quick battles. And those change it up completely. So it's a whole different game. So that's also included as a little, bonus. And there's a daily mission to do that as well. You're talking about the team composition and being with people who aren't that good versus that being, really good. There is a negative when people disconnect. That you can tell somebody who isn't there. They won't load up, and they'll sit at base for a while before they eventually get paired with somebody. I've had times where I saw that and I'm like, oh, now it's a 5v4, we're gonna lose, and I was right. We got our ass handed to us. And other times where I was like, 5v4, we're all gonna lose, and we wound up, wiping the floor with them. So I guess it really also depends on who you're paired up with. But it does suck that people can disconnect, and you can't back out of a match. So even if it's like, oh, I got to get away, you do get docked points, and you get an email like, oh, because I tried that. I joined a match and I had 2 people quit on me, and I'm like, this is not fair. Let me try to surrender, and they didn't want to surrender. I'm like, we were getting our asses handed to us. I'm like, I'm done, And I came back and we got an email. It's like, oh, within the game, it's like, oh yeah, you lost 2 points, which I gained back the next day, like because you left the match early. And I'm like, well, yeah, because there was a loss. Like it was 5v3. I'm like, what are we gonna do? We're at a complete disadvantage.
Yeah.
That kind of sucked. But it is interesting because every character is, not only is every character different, like a Pikachu versus a Pikachu, they could be playing very different styles, but they could also level them up differently. They could choose different moves, which changes the way the gameplay is done for that character, which I like. So everyone could have their own style that they play. And you mentioned League of Legends getting into, like, if someone wanted to get into League of Legends, those are characters. They have no attachment to those characters. They're just, this one looks cool, I guess. But most people have a connection to some of these Pokemon, if not all of them, that are available. So you inherently going in, I know the character I'm going to play as, and I think that allows more people to get involved, to feel more like, oh, yeah, you know what? I want to play this. And as for the Pokemon, you start off with one they give you. Then they give you several for just the start, the start of the game, for logging in every day, for doing certain challenges. They're pretty generous on the amount of Pokemon they do give you, start off. And then you could, of course, purchase new ones. But they also do a rental system where certain Pokemon are on trial. So you may not own, let's say, Charizard, but Charizard's on trial that day. So you can still play as Charizard even though you don't own him. And that's cool because it lets you try out certain characters. And if you find one you really like, wow, I played several matches as Gengar and I really liked Gengar, and then you may want to go to the shop and permanently purchase him. And that can be done with in-game currency. Which is great, as well as paid currency, of course. So I like the fact that they give you those trials to not only let you try things, but it also expands everybody's roster of Pokemon, so you have less chances or less likely to get people trying to fight for the same Pokemon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, yeah, from I mean, it's free. So clearly there's no nothing on the line at all except for your time. So it's hard to give a recommendation. Would you download this game? Well, what's stopping you? It's free. It's a free game. But the best we can, I guess, if it did cost, I don't know what kind of qualifiers we put around this, but I guess, can we actually recommend this? Is it worth your time? Because it's not going to be worth your money, because you can totally play, you can get involved for nothing and have a good experience and not pay a single penny. It's coming out to mobile devices eventually. I don't think we have a date yet. It's just, I think, soon. So like very soon you'll be able to play across platform as well, and I think your save data and everything, I think, will actually transfer from system to system. I think there's something like that as well. So there's a lot of good stuff about this. It's not perfect, as we talked about, but Barry, would you recommend Pokemon Unite from? I mean, it's, like I said, it's a free game, so why not?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I think it's a fun game. I think it's a fun experience. I think you should try it for yourself and make the decision, is this something you want to play? The nice thing is, if you just want to do the daily stuff, which is really what I'm doing, it's like 4 matches a day. Each match is maximum 10 minutes. Quick matches are 5 minutes. So you're looking at 35 minutes or so, say 40 minutes with matchmaking and all that, and loading and stuff, a day to do 4 matches. That's cool. I think that's a small time investment if it's something you're enjoying. If you find yourself not enjoying it, you'll know within the first few matches. But I will say, don't just do one match, because you could get paired with terrible people and be like, oh, I got my ass kicked, I'm done. Don't do a couple matches, because if you're paired with better people that maybe go with your play style, it is a whole different game than going with people who don't know what they're doing, or they're not team players and they just roll over, they disconnect or whatever. Definitely give it a good college try, and there's a lot of incentives for them to do it. There's a lot of stuff they give away. There's other mechanics too, like we didn't talk about, even the items. You have different items you could equip to use, and that changes up how you're going to play as well. So there's a lot of avenues in this game already, and they're adding more content. The game is very much healthy. We'll see where it is in a month or two, how many active players. But right now is the best time to try it, because everyone's going in on the same level. It's not like, oh, this game's been out for 5 years. I'm going to be playing, and I'll be like, other people look at me like, oh, you're just a newbie. You don't have to worry about that, even though it does pair you with like-minded and like skilled players. It's definitely worth giving it a shot. And you'll know after say an hour's worth of playtime, if you're not having fun, you wasted an hour of your time. And if you are having fun, you're doing it for free.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you saw on the screen just a second ago, that's a little portion of the opening play cinematic. I was impressed just by the cinematics alone. I
Yeah.
was like, wow, this is not just your regular free-to-play game. They're actually putting some solid effort into this. So yeah, I think it's a game that everybody should at least try out. And see if you enjoy it. If you've been wanting to, like I said earlier, try out some MOBAs and you're like, I don't know if I'll enjoy it or not. This is a perfect one to check out. And you can get as deep into it as you want, or you can play as super casual if you want. The both options are there, or anything in between. Greg, any final thoughts before we wrap up about Pokemon Unite?
Well, yeah, I'll have to see how my first experience relates back to this. Hopefully, next podcast. I mean, I do have it downloaded to try it out, and I had meant to try it out before today. It just got carried away. Playing Bravely Default 2, so looking forward to doing it. I don't know how well of a team player I'll be. I don't usually play online games for the most part, so if you do get randomly matched with me, I apologize. I won't be doing the things you'll want me to do because I don't play these games.
Nice. Maybe we'll have to do a 3-on-3 match sometime.
There's a lot of practice too, and a lot of tutorials, and that's one of the things I recommend when starting
That's
this. They put you through a tutorial, but then there's like 5 other tutorials. Go through all the tutorials. It'll just help you better acquaint yourself.
And it doesn't take very long, and you get
No.
prizes and more things to claim when you go through
Yep.
those.
Yeah, they reward
Yeah,
you for doing all the tutorials.
Yeah, I'm definitely not one to just dive in deep end, just like, all right, let's start up the rank battles and not have any experience whatsoever. I always try to complete tutorials in just about any game that I start because I kind of need to know how to play the game and what's the goals and how to try to do it.
Yeah, I do think that's good for new players. Like there's a little bit of hand holding in the beginning, but it's a necessary amount of hand holding because if you're unfamiliar with that kind of style of game, you need those tutorials to kind of teach you the basics of what's going on. But they don't do it too long. It's there to keep going, but they eventually let you go. So I mean, you can probably be through the basic tutorials in like a half an hour and hitting your first match within half an hour, 45 minutes, or maybe less if you do quick.
They also have practice matches where not only can you practice, different styles of matches, but you could practice with any of the Pokemon. So if there's a Pokemon you're like, oh, maybe I should buy, let me see how they are. You can go ahead and practice against CPU and see how you like it before you jump into player. So they do have a lot of options for you to get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's Pokemon Unite. If you guys have played it, let us know what you think in the comments down below. Or if you're joining us live in the chat room for our podcast, be sure to let us know what you think of Pokemon Unite there as well. And we'll kind of course, update you guys, I think, on as the podcast goes. Sorry, wrong button. As the podcast goes to let you know more of what is our experience as we move forward with Pokemon Unite. I think at least Barry and I are gonna maybe try to get some daily matches in and see if we go. I don't think I'm gonna go try to go pro on Pokemon Unite or anything, but but I'll definitely get some more in. It's a fun competition.
Yeah, for sure. I've been having fun in ranked actually.
Cool. Well, let's turn our attention to some news, and we talked about one East Asia Soft game already today with Mina and Michi, and they had a little event today to show off some upcoming games. So, Barry, you want to let us know what they showed off today, and we'll kind of get into a little discussion around East Asia Soft's event.
Sure. So East Asia Soft had an end of summer showcase this morning. It aired at 11 a.m. Eastern, and it is about 10 minutes or 8 minutes or so, not very long. They just came out swinging. Here's what we have coming out for different consoles, and starting with tomorrow, August 4th, we have Enter Digiton: Heart of Corruption that is coming to the Switch. As well as other platforms. We have Crimson Spires, which is coming August 11th, also for the Switch. Rogue Explorer, August 18th. All these are for the Switch, by the way, which is great, as well as other platforms. Pretty Girls Panic, August 26th. Rava and the Cyclops Curse, which is September 1st. Glow on September 9th. Poker Pretty Girls Battle Texas Hold'em on September 16th. and Crisis Wing on September 22nd. Those are all on the Switch as well as other platforms. They did also briefly talk about some other games, which is Zero Strain, Poker Pretty Girls Battle, Fantasy World, Bisho Battle, Cyber Panic, and Delicious Pretty Girls Mahjong Solitaire. Those are all coming to the PS5. I believe they're all also already on the Switch, but I could be mistaken. And then they talked about Zuan Yan Sword 7 and Omen of Sorrow, which are coming to Xbox One, and Zuan Yan Sword 7, also PS4. That's actually one that excites me simply because it was only released in Asian territories. It's a Chinese RPG. And that's interesting because that's not only coming to the West here, but it's also getting a retail release here, which is really cool because I like to see games rooted in other mythologies and other cultures coming out in the Americas, which is awesome. But yeah, East Asia Soft came out swinging with 8 Switch releases, as well as some other announced titles, all very soon, between August and the end of September. As of now, I believe they're all digital, but there's a good chance between Video Games New York and East Asia Soft themselves, with PlayAsia, to have them also physical. So what did you guys think of these titles?
Yeah, I think it's cool to see a lot of different styles of games and different genres of games and things. The ones that stood out to me from what was shown off, at least for the Switch games, Rogue Explorer seemed pretty cool. It nothing really like stood out to me, but I was like, oh, that could be a game that I could get behind. And Glow, I think was kind of cool. It just had this different kind of feel to it. But I think the biggest thing was like, I don't know too many of them that none of the games like really overwhelmed me. Like, oh my gosh, that looks amazing. I've got to check that out because I've never played anything like that before. I've never seen anything like that before. They all looked like solid games, but and probably games that I would enjoy, but I wasn't floored by any of them. And that's okay, but that was just my general thoughts about what I seen. But of the two, I think Rogue Explorer, or of all of them, Rogue Explorer and Glow are the two games that I could be tempted to check out, because I think of the natural nature of it, with just what I saw of the game, and excited to see those, like you said, pretty soon. So, Greg, what'd you think of those?
Yeah, there's a number of them that do look really interesting. I do apologize I didn't watch the show, but I have been going through the screenshots and videos while we've been discussing everything. So, Enter the Digiton kind of sounds a lot of fun. It's like a Metroidvania type game, and I do like that genre of games. I also thought Rogue Explorer looked pretty interesting, so that's like another like platform action like game that looks a lot of fun as well. And then finally, I think the last one was the Ranva and the Cyclops Curse, because that's like another like platform action game. So those are pretty much my style of games that I would be most interested in of the ones listed on the sheet. Like you said, they all do look very incredible games, but pretty much some of those aren't really my style. Like there's like the visual novel ones. I haven't really got into those types, even though they're not technically long games or anything by that means, but just not something I'm terribly interested in. So, yeah.
I forgot about Crisis Wing. It's like being shown on the screen right now. I forgot that that's shmup, so those always suck me in. So there's a chance I might check that one out too.
I'm with you there. Crisis Wing looks really cool. The Rava and the Cyclops Curse looks awesome. The Crimson Spire's visual novel looks like it could very well be interesting, and the Rogue Explorer, that seems like it could be really cool. I just want to see a little bit more on it. I do Glow is one that when I was watching, I was like, this is such a cool concept. I would absolutely hate playing this game. Like I could see myself just getting so frustrated, and that's fine because that's the idea behind it. But it's like, I'm sure there's going to be people that will love that game. I hope you play it. I hope you really enjoy it.
No,
It's
yeah.
just not one for
I
me,
totally
for sure.
get you. I could see some frustration level like potentially being there as well. Yeah, for sure. But I think that's the I love those types of games because if it's a healthy level of frustration, then it'd be good. But if it puts me over, then I will never touch it again. It could
Yeah,
go both ways.
there's a lot of really cool things that they're doing, and I love that they are, they're so dedicated, East Asia Soft, to bringing these titles to the West. A lot of these are very Japanese-centric titles or Asian-centric titles, and we probably wouldn't have a lot of them over here if it wasn't for East Asia Soft. So I give mad props to them. They're a great group of people. And I mean, they helped us with the code earlier for Mina and Michi, and they're just really, really dedicated for what they do, and just thankful that they're putting on little shows like this. I mean, that's 8 games in 2 months they're bringing out, or at least they're publishing. Like that's really cool. That's really healthy. I mean, that's awesome, and
Yeah,
a lot of them are retro style games.
yeah, it's definitely like a mini Nintendo here because it's like, oh, look, we have a little Nintendo Direct, and look at all these like 10 games are gonna be out on Switch all in the next month or two, and it's like, holy cow, like can't really ask for much from like other indie developers to be having so many games to release.
It's true. It's true. Well, let's move on to our next big news story. And yeah, you've those of you that are listening to the podcast have probably already heard about the recent news over Activision Blizzard over the last couple weeks. I feel like has it been over a week? I feel like it was almost like right after the last podcast is when things kind of
Yeah.
started hitting the fan. But yeah, a lot of people have been reporting on it. Pull up the Wall Street Journal has an article that I'm just going to put on the screen right now. Activision's Blizzard's executives just exited. So if you're unfamiliar with what is going on, a brief explanation is that there a lot of gender bias lawsuit. There's actually 2 of them, I think, right now. They're up to 2 lawsuits that are being they're going through that right now. There's also been a lot of harassment and discrimination, retaliation from all that stuff. Lots of reports about sexual harassment specifically going on within the company and kind of several other things. But that's kind of a brief overview. Anything I'm forgetting that you guys have heard that's been going on that I kind of just glossed over? Anything that we should also mention so that people know what's going on?
I mean, that was kind of general.
It was very general,
With
yeah.
that, very general. I mean, there's a lot of this is like deep seated too, which is the worst part, and a lot of things that were done like innocently. Like I don't know if you saw the whole picture with the hotel room,
hmm
with the execs where it was the Bill Cosby room, and they were just like it looked like an almost innocent picture. Like okay, whatever. Now has way different, darker meaning after all this stuff came out, and it's like oh, that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, like, yeah. Anything, Greg?
Yeah, it's just completely despicable that the stuff was going on behind the scenes, and it's also kind of alarming that it took this long to come to light, considering a number of these things was like back in like 2013 or something, somewhere around there, and like that's kind of unheard of in most other industries to like for it to be kind of swept under the rug for such a long period of time.
hmm Yeah. And I think that's, honestly, I mean, just a little transparency. Barry and I had this conversation, like, should we talk about this on the podcast? Because, like, really, what is there to say except for this sucks and we hate that it happened and, like, it shouldn't. And we're sorry to hear it did. Like, what else do you say about this sort of a situation? It seems to be good that they're taking appropriate action now. But like you said, Greg, like why did it take this long for them to finally realize what was going on and start to take appropriate action? But at the same time, a lot of people like that are in situations like that, they feel like they can't report like they need to. They feel like they can't bring stuff to the light like they need to, and so maybe the work environment wasn't allowing them to be open and honest like they need to be in those situations. Yeah, Barry, what do you think about this situation beyond, yeah, just the like this shouldn't be happening, but what can we take from that as the video game fans, I guess?
Um, yeah, it sucks. I also saw Blizzard's president just stepped down, replaced by co-leaders Jen O'Neill and Mike Ybarra. So I feel for those two people because they're literally inheriting a shit show. And you could tell that when the president starts stepping down and all that, like, this is deep seated. This is not one or two bad employees. This is the entire work culture. And the fact that this is the work culture is, it's really a more telling story. There are people out there that honestly, if you ask them, is there, you know, uh, you know, equality between the genders in the workforce? There are people out there that will say yes, yes, absolutely, there's equality. And when you try and tell them that it's not, that this is a deep-seated, especially an American problem, um, but other cultures too, but definitely here in America, that one person who's a male, one person who's female with the exact same qualifications, the male is going to be paid more than the female. And a lot of people will be like, no, that doesn't happen. No, no. Then clearly the male is more qualified. That's their excuse. They don't want to look at this problem. And this comes to light as this is it. This is on a silver platter. This is what you're getting. The women are unable to advance to certain positions simply because they're women. They are sexually harassed on a daily basis. They're catcalled. They are, it's just terrible. It is absolutely terrible. And I am, I'm sorry from a male. I'm sorry that this happened. Some of our fellow men are despicable. What I also fear or feel for on a lesser level, because definitely the women in the culture in this environment, I feel for the most. But I also feel for the innocents, because this isn't everybody. There are, I assume, and I shouldn't assume, but I'm assuming that there are some innocent bystanders at work. Maybe they're sound designers or coders, like smaller people that have nothing to do with this, or maybe they witnessed this and they were, like you said, Steve, afraid to speak up, because it is daunting to speak up, and it is daunting to say things,
Hmm.
and it takes a lot of people to make any video game.
Hmm.
So unless it's an India one person team or two people team, you're looking at a credits and it just goes on and on and on. And I have to try and believe in my head, for the sake of faith in this humanity that we have, that not every male on that list who was one of these terrible people. I have to believe there's some good ones out there. And I've seen a lot of people boycott. I'm boycotting Activision games. I'm boycotting Blizzard games. There are a lot of people who are just going to be innocently, guilty by association.
Right.
And I fear for them, because they're probably like, oh my God, Activision hired me and now I'm working and this is my dream job. And then this shit comes to fruition. And maybe they didn't know about it, or maybe they were one of the whistleblowers. Now they're dealing with the fallout. And it's like, it's terrible.
Hmm.
I hope that this is a learning example. Like, let's use this as an example. Let's make this as an example of what not to do. Let's let every game studio, and not every game studio, let's let every company look at this and question, are we doing something similar? And if the answer is yes, let's change it ASAP. And if the answer is no, good on you, but let's make sure that you are not, because
Hmm.
nobody should be harassed at the workplace. Nobody should be denied advancement because of their gender. It
Hmm.
shouldn't happen. Let advancement be about skill, not about what's between your legs. Period. That
Yeah.
is so stupid and arbitrary.
Hmm.
And to happen in 2021, I want to say that surprises me. I really want to say that surprises me. It sadly does not, because unfortunately, humans as a general species, not as an individual, are terrible. And we still have a long way to go, in just terms of equal rights, let alone anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's really unfortunate, like you said, for For some of those people that were innocent, maybe didn't know about it at all, that it was happening. They were just minding their own business, coding their game or whatever they need to, and just going on with their life. And now they're put in a difficult position. Like, do you continue to support this company that like allowed this to happen? Maybe it is their dream job. They've been waiting for it all their life. Finally happened. Like, it's awful all around. I Okay, so here's an interesting thing. So if anybody has ever listened to our podcast and for whatever reason considers us biased in any way, number one, I would urge you to listen closely, because we very regularly will bring up things that we don't like about Nintendo, and other companies as well. But here's something that popped in my head as we were discussing what to put in the podcast, and after Barry and I already had this discussion of like, should we discuss this or not? We have an event that we just talked about, right? East Asia Soft event, and as you look through that list of games that they just announced, there are several games in that, in my opinion, objectify women. What do we do about that? Because like clearly we have games that we're putting out there that are kind of promoting this kind of behavior, and yet we're upset about a company that does this in real life, but we're doing it in video games. What do we do about that? I guess so. Greg, any thoughts about this? This kind of I know we just threw this at you, but what do you think?
Yeah, this is obviously it's very unfortunate, and I mean everyone always says like that kind of material sells, and that's very unfortunate that it has to be that way, and we really need to like start analyzing this more and not like be supporting these kind of practices. So I'm kind of on board with trying not to support Activision stuff for the time being, just because it's very awful to hear all those people that are going through that. I mean, definitely do not go like fire starting and definitely picking on people that weren't involved in it. They're not guilty by association. You have to really hit the people that are actually responsible for these despicable things that they're doing. But in terms of like other games coming out, like you really need to be not supporting that kind of stuff. It just continues to make the problem worse. In my eyes, obviously, I know that Steve would agree with that. So yeah, I think just as a culture, we just need to get everything more under control and really be more transparent about like what kind of stuff that we're releasing for public consumption, and what stuff is okay and what stuff's not okay, because it feels like we're just digging a deeper hole each year that goes by. It's just, we think that we are taking a step forward, but it seems like it's a larger step back.
Yeah. Barry, what are you thinking?
So that first off, that was good. That was good. I like being thrown in the spot like that. The first thing that jumped to my mind when you said that was Grand Theft Auto and Mortal Kombat and Night Trap. And when you look at video games as a medium, killing people, objectifying women, stealing cars, ripping people's hearts out, none of those are things I condone. None of those things are things that you should do. And I think we as a society need to learn and to separate fiction from reality. The same argument could be said that violent video games breeds violence, and we know that's not true. We do know that there's, of course, an outlier where somebody will play, I'll bring it up because it's Activision, Call of Duty, and then they'll be like, oh yeah, now I'm going to go do that, and unfortunately they do. That's one in millions. So there's always going to be that outlier. So is there somebody out there that's going to play the Texas Hold'em to see a cartoon naked lady, or at least a scantily clad lady, because that doesn't appear they get naked, and use that as a way to objectify women? I want to say no. I don't want to speak in absolutes. I'm sure there's going to be that one outlier. However, I do not think that we should totally censor our forms of media, because I think this stuff needs to come to fruition. I think it's healthier to come to fruition in fake media, in games, in movies, in TV versus reality. And if you can't differentiate between fake and real, that is a real problem. And you probably need to see somebody about that. Because society, you look at music, for example. There are music videos and there are genres of music that pretty much promote scantily clad women. They promote it as you've made it when you have scantily clad women around you and money and cars and all that stuff. That's been going on for years. I mean, the racial and the gender inequality has been going on for decades, way longer. But still, we as a culture should be able to move past that. So, do I think the scantily clad women's in a poker game is objectifying women? Yes. Do I think it's there to try and sell? Yes, especially since it's Japanese, and that's part of Japanese culture. They're very sexual culture. Do I think it's going out there and saying, if you're playing this, you should look to see women naked and make them below you? No, I don't think that's the idea. I think that it's just a fun and honestly innocent poker game that just features women because it sells. Sure, you can say, I would rather play a Texas Hold'em game without that. Absolutely. There's ones out there. But once you start censoring, and that's a big thing, like Sony's been censoring games more than Nintendo has, actually. When you start censoring stuff, you have to question, that's another slope. How far do you go? And it makes me kind of think of, I'm sure you've read it, the book The Giver, where you have, if you haven't read it, say so, but you have like a utopian society. And it's utopian because there is no color. Everybody does what they're told. Everybody is just plain. And it's utopian because it's peace or peaceful, but the individual's gone. You lose who you are. You lose what makes you. You lose the ability to think for yourself. And that's the key. You have to be able to think for yourself, to differentiate what's real and what's not, to be able to objectively look at a terrible situation like this and see the wrongs, learn from the wrongs, do the polar opposite, and make sure it never happens again. If you can't do that, that is a problem, period. And, they're in damage control. Activision's in damage control. They're going to be, firing people and people stepping down and blah, blah, blah. Well, they're still getting severance packages. Don't worry about it. I'm sure they're all covered. They've already made millions off of your dollar. It's all damage control and it's all publicity. And if they come out and say, oh, I'm sorry, no, I don't believe you. You've had chances to change this. You're not sorry. You're sorry you got caught. You're not sorry that you did it. And people don't change overnight. I'm sorry. You don't change overnight. No one changes overnight. You can begin to work towards being a better person. You don't instantly flip a switch and boom, I'm suddenly someone different. So do I think we should still sell games that maybe objectify women or men? There are plenty of games that objectify men too. I say they're harmless. I honestly say they're harmless because you should be able to differentiate. And if we stop selling those, then we should also stop selling Grand Theft Auto and Mortal Kombat and anything violent, because violence is just as bad, But then where do we stop? Where do we stop? Cars kill people. Let's ban all racing games because people have lost family members due to cars. Where does it go? Oh, my son was killed by a man. Let's eliminate men from all video games. Oh, my daughter was killed by a woman. Let's eliminate all women. It doesn't end. This is a terrible situation, but we can't let it stem and bleed into other forms of entertainment and stop what's being said, the expression, the freedom of expression. We need to instead put that energy into educating the youth, educating the future generations on why fantasy and fiction are one thing and reality is another, and why situations like this are terrible, and how, most importantly, how you can prevent it from happening, which is you see something, you say something, don't be scared, because this needs to come to life. You need a whistleblower. And the more whistleblowers that happen, the more times this happens, we'll root out the problem. People will learn to not stand for this type of abuse and mistreatment. And unfortunately, in our society, we need money. Our society is capitalistic. You need money to run. So a lot of these women probably were doing it just to pay the bills. Like, they had no choice. This may have been their dream job. They may have joined Activision, said, or Blizzard, oh my God, I'm going to work on the next Diablo. I'm going to work on the next StarCraft. And then had this happen. And they were threatened, so they couldn't say anything. And now their dream job turned into a nightmare. And that's terrible. And that shouldn't happen. So most importantly, it should be a teaching and teachable moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's interesting too about the teaching moment stuff, and I agree with you. Like, if you're in any sort of that situation, please, our encouragement, our ask of you is don't hold. I know it's your dream job, but do what you need to do to get out of that situation or to protect the people if you hear it's happening, protect the people around you. I know it's got to be a hard decision at that point. Like, maybe it's your dream job and you may feel like you lose it or whatever, but look out for yourself and the people around you. It is more important. That's our opinion. I know it's our opinion. Other people could disagree, but your well-being and other people's well-being is more important than your dream job. That's a harsh statement, I know, but we would encourage you to do that if you ever find yourself in a position like that. This goes way beyond video games, of course, but this is real life for sure. Greg, did you have any further thoughts?
Yeah, that was pretty much a good summary. It was like, got to be for the greater good, and we're all in this together. It's not just one person. So you got to do what's best for everyone and make sure to bring these kind of situations to light if you're going through this at whatever company, whatever job you're at. So all of this kind of stuff just needs to stop universally, and by stepping forward is first way to get started, and there'll always be the green light on the other side once you're out of it. So
Yeah.
please reach out if you do need help in that regard.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, our hearts, our thoughts, all that stuff goes out to all the people going through some really difficult times. Glad some people are getting the help they need now, and glad decisions are being made. Rough, hard, difficult decisions. Sounds like some decisions that need to be made there, and we hope that that the other people that are just caught in the middle, that they're going to be taken care of and everything. But yeah, it's such a hairy thing. And if we can all do our part of just making sure none of this happens again, that's the best thing that I think we can all take about it. Like you said, Barry, let's learn from this situation and make sure something like this doesn't happen again. Let's be better as a culture and do better moving forward. Look out for each other. So, well, let's turn the page from that somber note into some other news that's coming up. So we got some quick headlines that we're going to be running through real quick before we move on with the rest, kind of the latter portion of our podcast. So, Greg, how about you kick us off with some Animal Crossing news that will kind of kick off our headlines tonight?
All right, will do. I did allude to this when we started the podcast, and I was talking about the Animal Crossing update, but pretty much that update is already now live. So throughout the month of August on Sundays, you'll be able to look at the fireworks show after 7 p.m. on your local time. They also added a number of new seasonal items. There's also like some other upcoming events for Oban and Moon Viewing Day and Chesyok. I probably butchered all of those, but it's nice that there's some new features and some new things to purchase throughout the next few months here in Animal Crossing.
Yes, and we alluded to it last time that EA was going to have their EA Play Live months after, or at least a month after E3, instead of showing up. And they did. They actually did have it just a few days after our last podcast, where they had a couple games announced, including some stuff that will be on the Switch. First one was Lost in Random, a really cool 3D adventure game that is scheduled to release September 10th. It is coming to all platforms, including the Switch, which is great. It's one of the EA originals. On top of that, Knockout City is going to get a season 2. The trailer was shown off, and the new season begins. Oh, it began on July 27th, so the second season's already started. So if you are playing Knockout City, it's called Fight at the Movies. So cool new content. And finally, speaking of new content, the new season for Apex Legends was teased. The full gameplay reveal showed a brand new character, and that actually started July 27th was the gameplay reveal, and on August 3rd, as in today, is when the content rolls out. So if you're an Apex Legends fan, you're probably playing already.
Nice. Well, back in March, we had several games that featured Mario that died, and we joked around that Mario died. Well, apparently, Dr. Mario is also going to be dying very soon. At least Dr. Mario World, ending this October 31st. You will no longer be able to play Dr. Mario World on your mobile devices. Is this the writing on the wall that Nintendo's mobile scene is going to go away? I don't know. A lot of people are speculating that, but at least Dr. Mario World is going to be ending services as of October 31st, 2021.
Another update, but this time for Pokemon Snap. There'll be some free DLC arriving on August 3rd, actually today. So this DLC brings in 3 new areas, 20 additional Pokemon, and you'll be able to explore the Barren Badlands, Rapid River Valley, where you are shrunken down to see the insect Pokemon within the area. And each of these areas will have a day and night version to find them. So are some stipulations where you have to meet certain requirements before you can play it, but you can download it today and hopefully get there and experience that for yourself.
And another thing we talked about last podcast, but we just want to bring it up here on August 6th. That is actually this Friday. Access Games will be showing off their all-access virtual showcase. There'll be new titles announced during this live stream, but in addition to that, there will be some games that we already know what will be shown off. And the cool thing is, these are all for the Switch. You got Rico London, you got Blazing Strike, Undernauts, Pups and Purrs Animal Hospital, Olympia Story, Deroku Agents of Sakuranti, and Variable Barricade are all going to be shown off, as well as new titles. This starts beginning 9 a.m. Pacific, which is noon on Friday. So, stay tuned if you like Axis Games, their titles. We'll see what's shown off.
Cool. Well, can I just go through those real quick, see if you guys have any thoughts or further discussion. Barry, any thoughts about any of those headlines?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always excited for game showcases, so definitely going to be tuning in this Friday for see what Axis does. EA, I actually watched. We did it in the events channel for our Discord, and Lost in Random that really blew me away. I really wasn't expecting it. It just has that claymation Tim Burton-esque style and that feel like Nightmare Before Christmas and stuff. Like, I love that style. So that game really has me intrigued. Animal Crossing, I like to see that they're doing stuff, but it just feels like they started so strong in that game and they could be doing so much more. And it just feels like the trickle-down effect at this point. Like, bring people back. I don't think a lot of these stuff that they're doing is going to bring people back. The new seasonal items are great. You know what it's going to do? It's going to have me log in. I'm going to open up Nook Shopping. I'm going to order them, and I'm going to log out. Give us new events to really bring us back instead of just, here's the old events again. But, keep the old stuff available, but add new stuff. Dr. Mario World, I really hope that's not the end of Nintendo on the mobile, just because I really enjoyed Dragalia Lost and Mario Kart Tour. However, I do not see either of those games going away, since I do think they're making enough of a profit, and they seem very healthy, and the player base seems very much very happy with what's going on. And I haven't played new Pokemon Snap yet, but I've heard a lot of people are very happy with this DLC and what they've shown off. And that's great. I think free DLC adding on to an already full game, perfectly great. Adding DLC, even free DLC, onto a game that's only half finished at launch, no. But yeah, I'm happy to see this, and I'm happy for all those Pokemon Snap players for sure.
Yeah. Greg, how about you?
Yeah, the Animal Crossing stuff, I wish there would be more. I mean, I know we had like a evidence that there's like a cafe coming soon, but I feel like I've been reading that all year. But pretty much it feels like that since the Mario items were added, that it's been basically on like low maintenance mode. It's just been, oh, here's a new item, here's one smaller event, here's this, and it's just been a super like trickle feed, like those virtual console games we get on the online service. It's like barely anything to note. I mean, I'm really hoping that we get like a Zelda event with a bunch of Zelda items. It would be nice to actually have other features like the cafe that have been supposedly in the code since like launch, but they haven't like released it yet. So that would be terrific there. I haven't really played an EA game in a while, so I don't really have too much to talk about there.
It's okay. EA hasn't played a Switch game in a while either, so
I know, right? They haven't been played on a Nintendo console in a while.
That's very true.
In terms of Dr. Mario, I did really enjoy it like when it came out, but it also kind of didn't seem like there was a lot of time, like a lot of things that really had like purchase. So like, I mean, while like you could get the new doctors, they were never like required for their special abilities. So I can kind of see why the spending on that definitely tapered off, and probably obviously the player base just kind of moved on to other games. So we had like a chart posted in our Discord, and it seemed like all the other games like Fire Emblem Heroes and like Pocket Camp and like Dragalia Lost and Mario Kart 2 are all doing very well so far. So I don't think there's other Nintendo games that can be on the chopping block anytime soon, unless obviously that spending were to take a deep dive down like Dr. Mario World. So hopefully that's the case, but I'm not wrong. So there's that. I don't have Pokemon Snap, so I don't really have too much to contribute there, but it's always nice to see free DLC. I'm not really too far into like the Access shows kind of stuff, but I might check it out. But pretty much since I didn't really watch the East Asia Soft one, I hoped to actually join to watch this one this time around, but we'll see, and hopefully there'll be some good Switch announcements there.
Cool. Yeah, just gonna quickly run through my thoughts around this as well. I agree with you guys about Animal Crossing. They could be doing so much more instead of just recycling stuff at this point. Bring the cafe out. Come on, just do it, Nintendo. EA didn't surprise me that we only saw. That's all we saw. It's disappointing, but Lost in Random looks great. Like they can put out a good quality game on a Nintendo platform. Just do it more, and show off more. Dr. Mario does what that tells me is like that's a game that should have life. I don't think they did it correctly. I think they should have put out more of a traditional like buy this game for $10, it's yours to keep, that sort of thing, and they can keep it on the store moving forward. The fact that they have to keep supporting it like this makes them be put in this position where we keep supporting it or not. If they just put it out, you download it, it's on your system or your mobile device, you can play it anytime you want, I think they'd actually make more money and it'd stay on there. But I think the decision they went with limits them, and they had to make a hard decision like this. I also agree. I don't think they're going to be pulling other games. Other people are saying it's the end. I disagree with that. And similar to you, Greg, I don't have Pokemon Snap, but it's cool free DLC, and interested to see what Access has to show off as well. We're gonna
one thing you mentioned about Dr. Mario World. Yeah. I'm surprised they're not ending new support, but they'll just leave it where all existing stuff is still there. The servers can't be that expensive to keep this mobile game up, and just leave it there and let people pay if they want. Like, all existing players as a free bonus will unlock everything for you, and then let everybody else just pay $10 or whatever, $15, and you get everything that's been included. I mean, you spent all that time and effort adding in the new doctors and adding in the new stages and all that stuff, just to let it go away so it's no longer playable seems like a waste. Just throw it up there and make it like Mario Run, where it's just a one and done. And that's such a brilliant idea. Just people will know, like, all right, those that spent the money and all that stuff, okay, they may say, well, there's no new content, I'm done with the game, but you may get new players in and you have it there, and you can then take that version and then you can maybe bring it to Switch and say, here, Dr. Mario World is now an online store game for the Switch. The servers can't be that expensive. I'm sorry, Nintendo, you have money. Like, I don't even play Dr. Mario World, but that just seems like, how expensive can they truly be to
Well,
keep
they
those up?
gotta use all that extra money to make the Switch servers even better than what they are already.
Let's not get started on that. That's just a dark topic.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that. I got the exact same thought that Barry did. Like, why can't they? They don't even have to charge like $10. Why can't they just have it on the store and just have like a note saying, "Oh, this game is no longer going to be updated"? I mean, I don't really understand why you can't just like, okay,
Yeah.
this is the actual end of the game. It doesn't have to be goes on forever. There doesn't need to be infinity levels in the game. Like, it could just be like, okay, this is the last level, and then you can uninstall it and be done. Like,
Right.
That's the
I mean,
problem, unfortunately, with digital games and games that use a server is they eventually end, as opposed to, games that can be played offline and can be stayed forever. I mean, that's just it. If they took all that content, released it as a Switch game offline, and just made it a physical cart and a digital download, they've already designed it all, so it would take minimal effort. People would buy it. Then you would always be able to play it. As of now, if you're going to be looking at a history of Dr. Mario, and Dr. Mario World is going to be there, it's going to be a footnote, and anyone that discovers Dr. Mario in a year or 2 years or 3 years or 10 years can never go back and play that game. It will forever be unplayable, and that's a shame. That is a lost game now forever, unless they do something.
Yep.
just like Mitomo.
Yeah, Mitomo too. Although Mitomo was more like a experiment, and it was more like a social interaction versus a real game outside the pachinko machine.
That's true. Yeah. Well, let's move on to what games are coming out over the next couple of weeks, what we're excited about playing. But before we do that, just another quick reminder that you can always reach out to us on social media. If you haven't done that yet, please just do so at NintendoFuse on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And of course, we have our Discord, and we would absolutely love for you to join us on our Discord as well. Link is on the screen, also in the show notes, the YouTube description. Love to enter the conversation. Barry referred to our events channel that kind of blows up every time there's an event going on. EA Play. I'd probably do the same thing with the Axis event this week. So absolutely love for you to join in there and join in the conversation on our growing community over there as well. And also, we don't talk about this a whole lot, but we absolutely love hearing your questions. So you can shoot them to us on social media and Discord, but you can also email us at podcast@nintendofuse.com. Let's talk about what we have been playing, or what we hope to be playing over the next couple weeks. As always, I'll be scrolling the upcoming games on the screen here, and as you guys see them scrolling along, we have games like Badland that is coming out to Switch, Shadowverse, Witch Spring 3, Road 96, which we've talked about on previous podcasts, is coming out. So not a whole lot of like big name games that are coming out, at least from what I noticed over the next couple of weeks. There's some solid games, but not like top tier, like third, AAA kind of games that like, oh, everybody is going to be buying. But there are still some solid games over the next couple of weeks. What are you guys hoping to be playing? Maybe of this list or something else that's come out in the past that you're hoping to get some time with over the next couple of weeks, Barry?
Now that I finished Scarlet Nexus, my plan is to do Neo: The World Ends With You, which because I did the first one earlier this year. So I was looking forward to that, and maybe do some post-game Monster Hunter Stories 2. But I'm really trying not to fall too far behind because this back end of the year is so full, and I've got Playcast games and other games to play, as well as other game chat games to play. Witchspring 3 is a JRPG that looks interesting, and that might get me to delve into it, but it really depends on how long Neo: The World Ends With You takes. And then there's still like the great Ace Attorney Chronicles that came out that I'm also looking at, and Road 96 looks cool too. And apparently I'm a bunny in the game that just came out too. So
There you go.
that
Barry the Bunny, August 13th. Mark your calendars.
they should send me a review code just for that. So there's some great games, but that's mainly what I'm looking for too.
Nice. Greg, how about you?
I was really hoping you would throw that to me first. 'Cause I was like, oh, I'll be playing Bury the Bunny because that sounds like a namesake game to pick up there. It sounds very high quality. Um,
Hey, now.
I didn't really see too much that I'd be personally getting outside those like East Asia soft games that we were talking about. The Dodgeball Academia did kind of catch my eye because I did like the dodgeball game on the NES, and that was one of my personal favorites on the NES. I know it's nothing like it, but I think it's like supposed to be like a spiritual successor, and that seems like it might be something I enjoy. It just kind of saddened me that Jakester said he didn't really care for the demo, so I might have to check that out before definitely committing $25 to that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Nothing really like big stood out to me. I think it's cool that Badlands coming to Switch, but it's at this point it's kind of an old game. Most people have played on mobile and other systems, but it's cool that it's coming out. It's like a definitive edition or whatever. Road 96 still is interesting me. I'm not sure. I'll probably see how it goes and everything, but I think the concept is still really, really interesting. And the only other thing that stood out to me also was Space Invaders Invincible Collection. It's a $60 game. That's a lot. I mean, I know there's a lot packed into it, but
Yes.
paying $60 for Space Invaders is kind of like, I mean, that's
There's
a
like
lot.
11 versions of
That's
Space
true,
Invaders.
but I mean, it's still Space Invaders. In the end, it's still Space Invaders. So we'll see. But I love Space Invaders, but I was like $60 for 11 games. I probably already own like 7 or 8 or maybe all 11 of these games like on other systems already. So I'm like, is it worth $60 to get another collection?
Just get
of
the
Space
physical
Invaders?
version. And at least way you have it, and if you don't like it, you could always sell it back
That is
you know,
very
sell
true.
it.
Very true. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I do want to get back to a couple of the Star Wars games that I was playing on Xbox, and then kind of life happened and I actually kind of forgot about them and everything. So like want to get back to Jedi Fallen Order and finish that game. I just never
Such a good
finished
game.
it. It was really great, and then all of a sudden I just stopped playing and kind of forgot about it. I need to play Squadrons eventually too, and same thing with Spider-Man. Like I get back to that on the PS4 as well. So I think that's probably what I'm gonna be trying to do over the next couple weeks. There's a couple other like cheap games that really cheap games that I picked up on sale on Switch. I am blanking on the titles of them right now. But if you haven't checked out your Switch sales right now, I would just say like there's a couple games that are like, I don't know how they worked it out, but they're like 89 cents or 39 cents or something like that. And so like that's not supposed to be possible anymore, but there's a couple games that are like that. And so definitely check out the sales section of the Switch eShop if you're looking for some cheap games, because there's a lot of them up there. And like if you spend $1.99 on something and it's not very good, then you only spend $1.99 on it, or 37 cents, like one game I got. So it's really not that big of a deal if you're looking for something quick and check it out. And I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody thinks of Barry the Bunny. That's really that's what I'm
Yeah,
looking
okay,
forward
just
to.
put in the chat, like it looks like a pretty fun platformer actually. So I know we were kind of ripping on the title, but I was looking through the screenshots and it seems like it's like a pretty fun platformer.
Nice.
Buy my game.
Well,
Buy my game.
maybe we'll have a future game chat or review of Barry the Bunny. Stay tuned.
I don't see the Barry's company on the publishing.
No.
Oh, that's
No.
true. Now you got to lobby for it.
It's kind of hard to lobby for a $55 game.
That's all right. You can do it. You can do it.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see
Yeah.
how the reviews are.
A quick programming note so that you guys know we are going to be back. Next podcast is going to be August 17th, so 2 weeks from today, of recording of August 3rd. And then there's going to be a little bit of shift. I'm actually going to be out of town I'm taking a vacation for the first time in 2 years on August 31st. And so we're going to shift that one back. So 2:35 will still be recorded live in 2 weeks. Here I go again, recorded live. Recorded on August 17th, and then episode 236 will be happening on September 7th. So we'll just shift that back another week, and then we'll be every other week for a couple months, and then there's another shift in October as well that we'll update you guys on as we get closer to that as well. Another reason to join our Discord. We always remind you and on our social media when the next podcasts are coming up. So if you haven't joined or followed us on social media, be sure to do that so you'll always know when the next podcast is happening. And Jakester, yeah, exactly. Well, the game chat thumbnail will be just Barry's face on a bunny. Ears, all. It's going to be great. I'm going to have fun with that one. Barry, we haven't done this in a long time. Other than Barry the Bunny, where can people find you? What are you doing online in the next couple of weeks beyond playing games, beyond hopping around on people's Switches? Where, where can people find you other than the NintendoFuse podcast?
Visiting Colorado with my foot going someplace. No, you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Hawk Hellfire, where it's my personal Twitter, where you can chat with me about video games, and you can also find me on premiumeditiongames.com, where we're putting out brand new physical versions of digital-only games for the Switch. You could also find me on the Switch Mania Playcast, which airs usually every Thursday night. Sometimes it's Friday morning. And we'll be around on other podcasts too. I have one coming up later in August that I'll be guesting on, which I should have time to talk about that before our next podcast.
Cool. And Greg, where can people find you? What are you going to be doing? Anything you want to tell the audience before we wrap up tonight?
At least not a whole lot before the next one. You can find me at GamerGD3 on Twitter. I've been trying to actively log in a little bit more, especially with all of our contests and everything going on, and following people back and checking on people's updates and whatnot. I'm still not huge on an active poster, but I still am a lurker there, so I do like to check it from time to time and drop likes down and whatnot. Yeah, and actually the next podcast will be like 2 days before my birthday, so that'll be kind of nice to talk about that.
Nice. We'll have to do something special. I don't know. Maybe we'll get you a free copy of Barry the Bunny.
Lord.
You guys can find me at Steve Cullum on Twitter, and actually all the social medias I'm pretty much at Steve Cullum. Love to have you follow me there as well. And most of the stuff that you want to probably know about me is NintendoFuse. So I take care of that social media as well. So you guys can hit me up there. And love to chat games with you guys, especially like outside of the podcast and stuff. It's just fun to connect with our listening audience. And just want to encourage you guys, especially to share this, leave a review, like, comment, subscribe, all those things. It'd be great. We also have Play NYC that we can talk about next episode as well. So if any of you guys are going to Play NYC, maybe some of our free ticket winners or someone that has yet to buy a ticket, use code FUSE40 to get 40% off your ticket. And maybe you've gotten your ticket already, you're ready to go. Make sure you look out for Barry. He's going to be there, right?
Yeah, bunny outfit.
No.
I'm
still
cosplay it. No. Play NYC.
No. I may or may not be there. I'm still debating on whether or not I'll be going. Okay. Unfortunately, with the numbers rising, going up, and I have other cons that I have to go to in October and November. So I'm still debating whether or not I want to head into the city this weekend. I might be there. I might not be. So I can't guarantee.
Yeah. Well, keep your eyes out for him. If you are there, you might be there. You might be able to find Barry, and especially if you see some really tall ears, it's probably him.
I hope everyone sees this abuse I have to deal with.
Oh, if this is considered abuse,
I don't condone what's This is coming from the guy that locked Husson in a basement, though. So how much can he really believe on how much torture he's really perceiving? So
yeah, but I let him out. Okay. Clearly, he hasn't been around for a while. I let him out. He's free to do his own thing. He comes back occasionally. Put treats out for him, and he eventually will come back.
Nice. Well, it's been awesome talking games and gaming news with you guys as always. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We will see you next time, August 17th for our next episode 234. And yeah, we'll see you then. Happy gaming,
Have a
everybody.
good one.